The restaurant buzzed softly with laughter and clinking glasses, but for Emma, it felt like a stage where she was the only one left waiting for her cue. Her fingers traced the rim of her untouched water glass as she stared at the empty chair across from her. 30 minutes late. Not even a text. She hated online dating, but after months of loneliness, she had finally agreed to this blind date, something her best friend had insisted could change her story. Now, sitting under the golden light of the corner table, she wondered if her story was simply meant to stay unwritten. The waiter passed by for the third time, offering her a polite, sympathetic smile. "Would you like me to refresh your drink, ma'am?" "No, thank you," she murmured. Her phone remained silent on the table. She had checked the messages 5 times already. Nothing. Her date, Ryan, had seemed charming in his messages, gentle humor, a love for old books, and an honesty that felt refreshing. She had almost started to believe that maybe, just maybe, something real could come from this. But as the minutes passed, that hope dimmed like a candle in the wind. Emma took a deep breath and decided to leave. She reached for her purse when a voice came from behind her, deep, nervous, and trembling slightly. "Sorry," the man said, and she froze. "I was watching you from the door." She turned slowly. A tall man stood there, his expression apologetic, his hands fumbling with the strap of his coat. "I know that sounds weird," he continued quickly. "But I wasn't sure if I should come in. You looked disappointed. And I thought maybe I'd already messed up." She blinked in surprise. "Ryan." He nodded. "Yeah. That's me. I'm sorry I'm late. My car broke down 2 blocks away, and I didn't want to show up sweaty and frustrated, so I waited outside for a minute to calm down. Then I saw you sitting there, and he smiled sheepishly." I froze. Emma studied him for a moment, his sincerity felt raw, unpolished. His shirt was slightly wrinkled, his hair a little out of place, but his eyes carried something steady, something honest. "It's okay," she said softly, motioning toward the seat. "You're here now." When he sat down, the air shifted. What had started as awkward small talk soon grew into an effortless rhythm. They spoke about childhood dreams, heartbreaks that left them hollow, and the strange ways life teaches patience. Emma found herself laughing, really laughing, for the first time in months. But beneath the laughter, something deeper stirred. Ryan told her about losing his brother 2 years ago, and how silence had become his unwanted companion ever since. Emma listened quietly, the pain in his words mirroring her own. She told him about her engagement that had ended suddenly when her fiancé decided he wasn't ready for forever. It had left her building walls she didn't know how to take down. 2 broken people, both scared of trying again, found themselves sharing the same table, 2 souls searching for the courage to trust life once more. As the night stretched on, the restaurant began to empty, but neither of them moved. When the waiter came to ask if they needed anything else, Ryan smiled and said, "Just a few more minutes." Outside, the city lights shimmered against the window like scattered stars. "You know," Ryan said quietly, "I almost didn't show up tonight. I told myself it wasn't worth the risk, that I'd probably just mess it up. But then I saw you, sitting here, waiting even when you could have left. That's when I knew I had to walk in." Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest. "I almost left too," she admitted, her voice trembling. "I thought maybe love wasn't meant for me anymore." He looked at her with a softness that made her breath catch. "Maybe love doesn't show up when we expect it to," he said. "Maybe it waits until we're ready to see it." For a moment, silence held them both, and then she smiled. It wasn't a wide, dazzling smile, it was something smaller, more real, something that came from a heart beginning to heal. The waiter dropped off the bill, but neither reached for it right away. Emma glanced at the empty glass that had started the evening feeling like a symbol of rejection. Now it felt like something else, a reminder that emptiness doesn't mean the end. Sometimes, it's just space waiting to be filled. As they left the restaurant, the night air brushed gently against them. Ryan walked beside her, not too close, not too far, just enough to let her know she wasn't alone. When they reached her car, he hesitated. "Can I see you again?" he asked. She looked at him, the city lights reflecting in her eyes. "I'd like that." And in that moment, it wasn't just the start of something new, it was the quiet return of hope. Weeks passed, and what began as a hesitant friendship blossomed into something deeper. They faced their fears together, her fear of loss, his fear of failing someone again. There were days they argued, days they withdrew, but they always found their way back to the table where it all began. One evening, months later, they returned to that same restaurant. The same corner table. This time, Ryan was early. When Emma walked in, she laughed softly. "You beat me to it." "I didn't want to be the guy watching from the door again," he said, smiling. As they sat down, the waiter, now familiar, grinned at them. "Back where it all started?" Ryan nodded. "Yeah. And I'm glad I didn't walk away that night." Emma reached across the table and took his hand. "Me too. Because sometimes, the most beautiful stories don't begin with fireworks or grand gestures, they begin with two broken hearts daring to show up anyway." And that night, as laughter filled the space between them once more, Emma realized something profound: life doesn't wait for perfect timing, it waits for courage. And for the first time in a long while, she wasn't afraid anymore.